Joining me now is former Hennepin County Sheriff Richard Stanek and former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Jack Jupin. Thank you both for being here today on this very important subject. I appreciate your time. So let's talk about that new video from the ICE officer's perspective and what it reveals. We've been watching it over and over again. We've got it up on the screen now. We see the reflection, which I think is so interesting, to see the reflection of the ICE agent walking around the car. You can see him in the reflection, and you see literally the last seconds of this woman's life. She's trying to talk to him. He's walking around, and then we see him encounter her spouse, and then basically all hell breaks loose. So let's talk about what this video from the ICE officer's perspective reveals. Richard, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, well, this, this clarifies from, moment one when we said wait a couple of days before passing judgment. There's a lot of evidence out there, videos, eyewitness statements, what exactly happened or didn't happen. In this video, it's fairly clear what happened. The ICE officer who fired his weapon was documenting the vehicle, filming it on his cell phone, walking around the vehicle. You can see Ms. Good, the deceased person's wife, have a confrontation with the ICE agent. And then as she tries to get back into the passenger side of the vehicle, she says, go, go, go. And sure enough, Ms. Good does go. She puts it in reverse, puts it forward, and then clips the officer. The shots are fired. And here we are, a place where we did not want to be.
Right. I'm glad you brought that up, because now that video has been released, because we had the other side, right? We had other points of view, but now we have the ICE agent's point of view. And in that video, that's what we had initially, right, was the bystander. But now that we have the ICE agent's cell phone video, now we can hear a little bit more about what was happening on the other side. And I think we have what's on the front page of the New York Post. And you can hear her when you slow it down and you turn it up. She says, drive, baby, drive, drive. You can hear her saying that. And then you see Renee drive. She gasses it, right? So I'm just curious, Jack, I want to ask you, you and I were texting yesterday about this because when the video came out, it was very dramatic. What was your take on the video? Before we get to what the federal response is, I just want to get your initial take on what you saw.
Sure. Like my colleague just said, we said wait from the very beginning on this, right? And to this day, all the evidence is still not out. All the witness statements are not completed.
Right.
All the video has not been compiled. There might be other video that is not even from cell phones. It could be Ring cameras. It could be surveillance cameras. Law enforcement right now is scouring the streets to look for any piece of videotape. But what to me as a law enforcement officer is indicative of is that shot that goes through the front of the windshield. Obviously, that first shot, at least the first shot, goes through the front of the windshield, which would tell me that the agent was in the line of sight of this woman as she gunned it and as she pushed it. Again, without having all the facts in front of me, again, I even won't make a judgment on this. But, what I'm seeing right now, I've been in these situations, unfortunately. I saw my SWAT team leader get run over. So I know what it's like to be in harm's way.
Right.
So, it's kind of thing that, it's a delicate situation. But like I said, as my colleague just mentioned, perfectly, let's wait and see it. And this is what upset me about seeing three news conferences within 15 minutes of this happening. That's
right.
Absurd, and it's reckless.
Well, I mean, to your point, we just have to wait for more to come out. You know what I keep thinking about, you guys? And I don't think that she has it in this vehicle, but I'm just, speculating when I look at the vehicle. There's so many cars these days that have cameras in the front, right? I've got one on my car, so I can see a whole POV of the road, and you can go back and rewind it. I don't know if she has that, but maybe another car did. That's what we're talking about. Wait for everything to come out. The Department of Justice use of deadly force policy, we wanted to look that up, shows, quote, firearms may not be discharged at the moving vehicle unless a person in the vehicle is threatening the officer with deadly force by means other than the vehicle, or the vehicle is operated in a manner that threatens to cause death or serious physical injury to the officer or others, and no other reasonable means of defense appear to exist, which includes moving out of the path of the vehicle. So let's talk about that for a second, because that's the policy. How does that factor into the potential investigation, into the investigation of the incident? Jack, I'll stay with you.
You know, in fact, it's a lot. But again, you got to, I think the law also says is what would a reasonable officer do in that situation? And the fact of the matter is, Laura, it's a split second decision. Pull the trigger, don't pull the trigger. And if you feel that your life or the lives of other agents or other individuals is in danger, you have the right and the authority to use deadly force. Again, I have not been in this gentleman's situation. Until you're in that guy's situation, it's very hard to judge and make a judgment. But, the Department of Justice will do the review. They do a review of every federal shooting. So this is not uncommon. They will get to the bottom of it one way or another. And, one way or another, it's gonna play out. And how it plays out, they're not leaning towards the agent. They're not leaning towards the victim. They're trying to find the facts of what exactly happened here. And again, as you said, Laura, there's many other cameras. A lot of dashboard cameras are out there now. I would say we need to wait until this final investigation is totally complete.
And Richard, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but when you take a look at what we have so far, where are you leaning? That the ICE officers' actions were in line with protocols? I mean, because it's hard to say, Richard, exactly without totality where we're at. But what you've seen so far now with this new video, I'm just wondering what your thoughts are this morning now that we've all had a chance to digest it.
Yeah, well, I'll just say this. I spent 40 years in law enforcement and public service in that very community, patrolling that neighborhood and those streets. This does not define who Minnesotans are by any means. But from looking at this video, it appears, and this video is key, it appears that ICE officer who fired his weapon was walking around the vehicle, documenting the vehicle and the people near the vehicle, just like the people out on the street were doing to the ICE officers. And by the time he got around and had the confrontation on the passenger side with the deceased's wife and got to the front of the vehicle, it looks like he was probably still filming. He had no idea she was going to put it into gear and drive away or run at him. What was he supposed to do? I mean, he was caught between a rock and a hard place. It doesn't look like he purposely positioned himself in that place. But it happened, and you've got all this going on. It happened in a matter of seconds, 6, 7, maybe 8 seconds at best.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah, we're looking at the split screen, and we're looking at what happened with the officer or the agent's camera on the left and the citizen video on the right. Jack, everybody is struck by the fact that the ICE agent was using his cell phone. Obviously, ICE agents have been under a lot of attack lately, and so he's filming. We'll have to wait to hear his interview of why he was doing that. He wanted to document the occasion, apparently. But what is the rule about ICE agents holding their cell phone in one hand and being able to pull a gun with the other? Is there a rule that we know of?
There's not a written rule that I ever saw when I was on the job with the FBI. He's doing exactly what you said, Laura. He's videotaping evidentiary-wise. I worked violent crime for a long time, and there would be many times where I didn't have, a quintessential the FBI camera. I had my cell phone, and I have videotaped people. Now, as my colleague just mentioned, he had no idea that she was going to put the car in drive and lunge forward at him. Again, yes, he had the cell phone in one hand, but as every federal agent is trained to do, you can shoot with one hand. You can shoot with both hands. You can shoot with either hand. You're supposed to be ambidextrous when it comes to shooting. So the fact that he shot with one hand at that close range doesn't surprise me. I don't think it was out of protocol, but I do understand why he was videotaping. He's trying to protect himself legally, as everybody else wants to videotape what ICE is doing,
right?
And, try and put the screws to them. Well, he's doing the same thing, documenting everybody that's around, what he's doing. He's, walking around the car. And yes, I don't think he meant to put himself in front of the car. And I certainly don't think he believed that she was going to put the car in drive.
Right.
So, circumstances, evolve as you're on scene, as whether it's a crime scene, a car stop, or a violent encounter. And you have to be able to adapt and adjust to whatever those situations may be.
Well, this story is going to go on, and I hope to have you both back. And I want to thank you for your time this morning. Former Hennepin County Sheriff Richard Stanek and former FBI Supervisory Special Agent Jack Jupin. Appreciate you both.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Folks.